Here's what went down. Tuesday, November 11th, 2025, on Beyond the Gates, when Isaiah was linked to yet another DC resident. Kat got her pout on, and Smitty had to once again convince Martin not to be a dick. On Beyond the Gates, Bill got a new client, Isaiah. The men knew each other. Isaiah explained that he had just moved back to town and mistakenly referred to the younger Haley as Bill's niece. Haley admitted the age disparity and wanted to stick around to offer her paralegal services as Bill and Isaiah met, but the two wished to speak in private. While Bill assumed Isaiah was in trouble with the law again, Isaiah corrected that he had fixed up his life and that he had a job lined up at Banneker University as an academic advisor. Isaiah hoped Bill could look over his offer, but employment contracts weren't in Bill's purview, so he referred Isaiah to Tomas. Alone with Haley, Caroline could tell that her friend had been intrigued by Isaiah. Haley denied it, but Caroline noted that Haley and Isaiah were much closer in age. After Haley swore to Caroline that she and Bill would be together for the rest of their lives, she brought Bill lunch and peppered him with questions about Isaiah, finding out he was a reformed bad boy. When Bill had to step out, Haley brought out her poison and squeezed a few drops into Bill's takeout soup. Kat fumed to Chelsea that Bill was no longer the sorriest excuse for a father. Ted was. As Kat raked over her coals about Eva having slept with Tomas, the man entered from the other room, having come to retrieve paperwork he had forgotten there. After Kat explained that Ted had committed the unforgivable sin of asking Eva to call him Dad, Tomas thought the gesture was only natural considering. Kat retorted that she was Ted's only real daughter, and that Eva was just a byproduct of Ted's worst mistake. Just as Eva walked through the door, Eva called Kat a spoiled little bitch. Tomas tried to referee, but Chelsea sensed that Eva and Kat might need to clear the air. Eva bemoaned that Kat had destroyed any desire Eva had had to get along with her half-sister. But now that Kat was interfering in her relationship with Ted, Eva wouldn't allow it. Kat spat that Eva was constantly trying to steal her life, and that Eva would always be nothing but Ted's dirty little secret. When Eva got in Kat's face and swore she'd go to war if that's what Kat wanted, Kat smirked that Eva was just like Leslie. "Damn right I am," Eva confirmed before storming out. Tomas later told Kat that she had provoked Eva, and that he didn't like the cruel streak that came out in Kat any time Eva was around. Kat didn't understand why Tomas was against her trying to protect her loved ones from Eva hurting them again, while Tomas felt that Kat didn't care about his feelings, despite his repeated pleas for her to back off of Eva. After Tomas left, Kat pouted to Chelsea that no one had sympathy for her, but Chelsea shrugged that there was really nothing Kat could do about Ted wanting Eva to refer to him as her father. Kat exclaimed that Ted couldn't love Eva more than he loved her, not with Ted knowing Kat all her life. Chelsea was dismayed when Kat relayed how she had told Ted that he only had one daughter now. Kat determined that a hard stance would get Ted to see that Eva was manipulating him. If Ted didn't come around, Kat said, she would have to do whatever it took. Chelsea remarked that Kat sounded an awful lot like Leslie. Kat considered taking a page out of Leslie's book, since Leslie always seemed to get what she wanted. Isaiah called Tomas for an appointment and asked the lawyer to meet him at Uptown, where Isaiah saw the infuriated Eva ordering a strong drink. Eva rebelled when Isaiah tried to talk her out of downing it, saying she couldn't help thinking of him as cop-adjacent, since learning Jacob was his brother. Isaiah offered Eva an ear, and she went over how she had tried to make peace with Kat, to no avail. Eva spoke of the imaginary sister she'd created as a child to comfort her when Leslie got crazy, but it had been in working for the Richardsons that she'd first seen what a happy, sane family was like. Isaiah sensed that part of the reason Eva wanted to reunite that family was so she could be a part of it. Eva wondered if Isaiah had come back to DC so he could be close to his own family. Isaiah sighed that Elon had been more of a disciplinarian than a dad, though Jacob had done his best to keep everyone together and had stayed in touch while Isaiah was out west. When Tomas arrived, Eva assumed that he had followed her to console her, but Tomas stated that he was there to meet a client. Eva's curiosity was piqued when Isaiah announced that he was that client. Tomas was willing to examine Isaiah's contract from Banneker, but he didn't foresee any conflicts. Isaiah wanted information about a different conflict, since he knew Tomas and Eva shared a history. Tomas reassured Isaiah that there were no problems. In fact, he was dating Eva's sister. Isaiah's eyebrow raised. At Orphe Jean's, Samantha felt it was weird that Tyrell was taking care of her, since it was usually the other way around. Samantha was horrified that she had told their fathers that she wished they'd never adopted her, which she hadn't meant. Tyrell reminded his sister how lucky they were to have been found by Smitty and Martin. June arrived and reported that Smitty had said the teens were looking for her. Samantha groused that her dads would probably fit her with an ankle monitor next. June wanted to talk to Samantha alone and sent Tyrell away to text the Richardson Smiths that Samantha was safe. Samantha hoped that June could get her fathers to see her side, but June wasn't on hers. June said that the only bad guy in the situation was Nathan, who seemed to bring the worst out in Samantha. June didn't think that Samantha being grounded was unfair. Samantha proposed that she live with June, but June was clear that while she was doing better, she was still in no position to raise a child. Besides, June added, Samantha couldn't use her to escape her problems. June was willing to be the woman Samantha could talk to since she was surrounded by guys at home. Samantha didn't know how she was going to be able to face Martin and Smitty. June recalled how her fun-loving father hadn't been around much, likely because her strict mother had driven him away. When her dad had died, June blamed her mom and had cried that she'd wished it was she who had died instead. Samantha listened to June's regret about never getting the chance to apologize to her mother before she passed away, and to the fact that Samantha still had a chance to make things right. June desperately didn't want Samantha to carry the burden that she had. Martin didn't understand Smitty's upset, since the logical response to Samantha's behavior was to pull her out of Chelsea Cat. Smitty complained that Martin was falling back on his old ways of making unilateral decisions about the family without consulting him, which had been what had torn them apart over the summer. Martin held that, at times, immediate responses were necessary, but Smitty objected to Martin's righteous indignation again taking over. The failure to communicate threatened to put them right back where they had been. Smitty firmly said that Martin's approach to problems resulted in pushing people away, and that his tactics were less about their family as it was about him. Martin remained offended. Smitty had come to understand, since their dealings with Kenneth, that the idea of letting go of even a tiny amount of control made Martin feel like disaster was inevitable. When Martin affirmed that he'd take any risk to protect his family, Smitty said Martin was equating the Kenneth situation with Samantha pushing boundaries with a boy, which wasn't nearly as much of an emergency. Martin finally let his wall down a bit when Smitty gently warned him that he would alienate everyone if he kept coming at challenges the same way. Smitty said that they needed to brainstorm solutions together and concurred that Samantha couldn't simply be let off the hook. Martin submitted that they could have Samantha and Tyrell delete their social media accounts, but Smitty didn't feel that would solve anything. The reporter wanted Martin to show Samantha more understanding and suggested that she be allowed to continue working at Chelsea Cat, which had taught her skills and confidence. Samantha came home and apologized profusely for saying things in anger just to be hurtful. Martin had to admit that he wasn't proud of the way he had handled himself either. Samantha was thrilled to find out that she could return to Chelsea Cat. However, when her dads got on to the subject of dating, Samantha assumed she wouldn't be allowed to until she was 35. Martin made it no secret that he'd prefer Samantha stay away from Nathan. Smitty recommended that, going forward, he and Martin have better relationships with those the teens were seeing, and told Tyrell that they wanted to invite Jessica and her parents to dinner. Mr. Smith acknowledged that Samantha and Tyrell dating was new territory for all of them, but vowed that, as a family, they would figure out how to navigate it. Beyond the Gates airs weekdays on CBS and streams on Paramount+.